We are Squawking Dead, a podcast pulverizing episodes beyond the Walking Dead universe. Hi, already. Bring back Madison Clark on Instagram. Today we're here to talk about our full breakdown. Well, I don't know how full it's going to be, of The Last of Us's third episode titled Long, Long Time. I'm your host, David Cameo, and you're joined by Cosmo09, Rachel Burt, Sharon D, a.k.a. Lazy Gardner.
Am I allowed to talk now?
And yeah, sure. And Bridget. ko-fi.com/Punky Brewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER.
Hi,
everybody.
I'm Bridget.
We have all four of us on here. That's great. And we're here live this time. Hey, Pivy on YouTube.
Pivy! How do I see the things? I want to see all the things and the people saying the stuff.
Oh, yeah.
How do I do that?
The YouTube and whatnot.
The
How do I see
YouTube.
the things?
The YouTube and
Oh, I
whatnot.
can do the pop-out thing,
Yeah, the
right?
pop-out the chat thing.
Yeah.
I go to the thing, and then I do the pop-out thing. Look at me.
pop
I'm all
it out.
tech savvy. Pop it out. Pop it out. No, that's not right.
Popping
It felt right.
the peas.
It felt. Oh, we're going to hear ourselves.
So we're here to actually. So before we do anything else, I want you to know that if you haven't watched our immediate post-show reaction to this episode that we recorded right after the episode aired on Sunday night, please go to that now, because we are going to be talking about the finer points of this episode for those of us who took notes, maybe, or had more of a thought on the subject.
I have zero thoughts.
I have some interesting tidbits that we didn't rake over in the first reaction, and a couple of observations that are worth actually talking about. And all of you, whomever of you who have read articles, saw some clips, particularly from Kirsten Acuna, who we actually dropped that clip on the same night in the chat so that people can watch it. Mm-hmm. You could also watch it on her Instagram account. It's not Kristen, not _ Kristen, I think it is. Let's look at everybody's in the chat. And Pivy says, look at that. I got a notification as the stream began. This is a historic occasion. Drinks are on me. I can balance a bottle in my head. Look.
Is that YouTube?
That's
Where's
YouTube.
this shit on YouTube?
Yes,
Oh,
YouTube.
live. I got to click you live.
YouTube.
YouTube. Yeah, Pivy, it looks like for a while that YouTube no longer hates you. That's pretty good. Let's see. It's most of you. Takira says, would be great if I could chat on my phone.
here.
Stupid YouTube. Yeah, you can actually chat on your phone, though.
Kira!
Yeah. I confess I still haven't seen a single episode of The Last of Us. I just wanted to hang out, Pivy says. This episode.
Oh, you should watch, baby.
You
It is
should
really
be
good.
watching it.
It is good.
It's definitely good.
That didn't sound convincing, but I swear, it really is good.
Join the 12% increase in viewership that this show received. That's right. I read stuff. I just don't have anything to add.
Wait, you're saying that this week's episode got even more initial ratings than last week's, which got more initial ratings than the premiere?
Well, duh.
Yep.
Nick Offerman.
It's growing.
That is not
growing.
usual, though. That is very, very unusual ratings, which is very good for the show, I think.
Nick Offerman.
Hopefully it's good for our show.
House of the Dragon had a ratings bump like that when people realized it wasn't
Wasn't garbage?
it wasn't the end of Game of Thrones. Right.
Like Rachel hoped the show was last week.
It's actually good, and everybody flocked back to it. So like it had this huge ratings boost after like the second or third episode.
Right. In a rare moment in television where you actually can get something week to week. You're right. You're probably right. This sort of thing can happen if it is that good. Oh, by the way, Takira says, I've been in the house for 23 seconds and it said Squawking Dead is on. But by the way, Takira, that's why I didn't answer you in the DMs because I was getting notes for this particular episode. Yes, exactly. So I kind of turned the world off. It's kind of my thing until I need to. Like, hey, ladies, we're coming on right now. Are you there? We're going live.
Rachel, hurry up.
Yeah.
Are you
That's what he
there,
meant to say.
ladies? It's me,
Rachel, hurry
David.
No, it was to everybody, but nobody answered, so I started panicking, actually.
And then Dave started talking about his period.
Right. It's true.
Well,
I've brought this up before.
because Ellie did find tampons.
That's true. That's true. I talk about
And
things we didn't talk about.
Pearl. They were like the good kind.
Right.
I assume.
And obviously, Joel, being of male persuasion, would not have thought that they were useful in any way.
Of the male persuasion.
Of the male,
of the male persuasion.
it's just a persuasion, not at all a biological reality. Just it's a suggestion. I suggest that he's a man. Well, but, it's interesting that you brought up
Might
Pearl.
be.
I mean, he could be mushroom, so
Ooh.
Ugh.
it's like the third
I mean,
choice.
I think part of him
male,
is
female, or mushroom.
anyway.
Zing.
Yeah. So actually, what's funny? You mentioned Pearl. They were the Pearl tampons, and going on the last episode, Mother of Pearl, Iburatna. So the thing about like pearls and
Pearls.
interesting. So
What an interesting way to tie that
Yeah.
in.
There he goes. He
Tampons.
just circles back to that. Well, you mentioned pearls, so.
Pearl tampons.
I mean,
I calls him as I sees him.
I don't want to use mother of pearl in place of pearl tampons. I'm
Well,
just saying.
I mean,
Ooh.
maybe at
Yeah,
one
no.
point they were used as. Anyway, I'm not going to go there.
What?
'Cause I don't.
Outta
I don't know what I'm
It's
talking
like, oh my
You know
god,
what,
it's like the
Thomas?
3 seashells from
Demolition Man. Yeah.
Demolition
Yes.
That's kind of where I was going with that. Yeah. But are they shaped in a sea? Never mind.
Thomas is here. What? Hi,
Yeah,
Thomas.
he is.
It's late on the take there. Takira
I know.
says, okay, yeah. Takira says this week's episode is getting a lot better ratings, and there's a bunch of articles praising it. Yeah. Dave, I think I know you better than I ever realized. I knew I was sending messages to the air because you would be getting prepped. It's true. Pipe says it's the best stream already because of Pearl tampons and allusions to Mother of Pearl, which you don't know about because you weren't in the last few live streams. Okay, it's fun at midnight.
So also pearls come from oysters, and oysters are an aphrodisiac, and this episode was a love story. So there you go.
Thank you for tying that up real quick.
What a Dave,
Gotcha.
what
I
a
thought that
Dave
was gonna get
moment for
dirty.
you.
Now you're just a conspiracy theorist like Bill. It's just, I don't go that far. I'm kidding. Anyway,
Like me.
like Bridget. There you go. When Sharon D is Bridget.
The government are Nazis.
Oh my gosh. It's the best line. It's the best line of the whole thing.
They are now.
Oh Lord.
Say hi to my friend Dawn. Hi, Dawn.
Hi, Dawn.
Hi,
Hi,
Dawn.
friend Dawn.
Hi Dawn, where are you? Where's Dawn? Oh,
What
she
on
on
Dawn?
Facebook.
Thomas.
Oh, where? What? Oh, okay. Sorry,
Yeah,
Thomas's
they're probably
comment.
hanging out. They're probably at bar 9. Let's be honest.
They probably are a part Correct.
Well, where do we go next? Because there's a bunch we could talk about.
I loved this episode.
What made you?
I thought it was it had a lot of similarities to my favorite episode of anything ever, which is Laura
Laura.
From Fear the Walking Dead.
from Fear the Walking Dead. I mean, you have a guy who lives on his own because he wants to be away from the world, and you have a person who shows up on his doorstep hurt in flannel, and they and he he gives him food, and they become involved, and then it opens up the world to this person who's been living by himself. It opens up a whole new world, and he can trust and love
Feeds a
people again.
rabbit.
I think it was beautiful. I think it was beautiful.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it was a big risk for this show to do that the third episode in.
Mhm.
But
Like
man,
Yeah.
did they nail it.
A
Not only just Bill and Frank, but like the whole lead up to it, how they led into it, the transition from showing Ellie all the dead bodies with the very distinct material, and transitioning that into the Bill and Frank story. Like, I mean, it was a beautiful all the way around. And the last shot of them pulling away from the window. Oh man, that made me ask Rachel. It made me cry when we were watching it again last night. It made me tear up. So I mean, I thought it was a beautifully shot, beautifully written, beautifully executed, and I think their gamble it paid off because this was fantastic.
I mean, speaking of gamble, in more ways than one, this episode worked across the board for 3 reasons. One, okay, we're all in agreement. Well, actually, Rachel, did you feel the same way about this episode? What happened?
Oh.
This
Are we?
this will bring me to other points, but yeah.
Shit. I wanted everyone to say good things first.
No, but like overall, let's
Oh.
go to basics, and then I'll go back to my points because it'll make sense.
I'm gonna go with yes with
Okay.
an asterisk.
Okay, cool. That's fine with me. Okay, 3 reasons. One, for those who didn't really care too much that the show perfectly reflected the game.
Refracted.
They refracted it, and they saw it for its merits, and they thought it was really, really good. Bonus. And the ratings bear out, right? 2, for those who played the games and saw this as an opportunity to do, hashtag justice for Bill. Win-win. But then there's the third reason. And the third reason is kind of a part A, part B. What is all this gay shit? And part B is, quote unquote, I use quote unquote, what is all this gay shit? And the second part is, hey, idiot, you're supposed to be exactly like the games. Well, it works in the show's favor because all the buzz, negative or positive, makes this show trend. And that is interesting because it gets people, what other dumb shit are they going to do this week? So people watch the show. So
find out
it's
what
interesting.
dumb
I'm
shit they're
sorry,
gonna do.
but like as someone who is playing the game right now, if anyone is saying like he's not gay in the game, you weren't listening.
And it's not that. It's not that at all. Most of the people who watch the game knew that. And there's like even a screenshot of one of the magazines in the game that he's actually reading on his coffee table, and it's like a nudie mag of men. It's so
Bill was gay.
Yeah.
I think
either way.
I think a lot of the issue is people are having a very hard time with it being Ron Swanson.
Really? That's not what I've been seeing at all, actually.
I mean, I didn't. I will admit, the first time watching it, I didn't expect it, and I was like, "Whoa!"
That's
But
good though,
then
isn't
as
it?
it went on, and the story unfolded, and I just got totally drawn into this. I've always said it. I'm a sucker for a love story, and I just got drawn into this love story, and I forgot that I was watching Apocalypse Ron Swanson.
Yeah, exactly. But I think most of the ire is coming from those who didn't like that the show diverged that much from the video game. And I actually got into a couple of rows over this. And I even like took the time out on Twitter to say, I don't care if you don't like seeing quote unquote, what is all this gay shit? I don't care about that. What I do care about is, I do care about that. Obviously I care about that, but to each their own. If you don't like watching two men kissing, that's your thing.
It doesn't bother you.
It doesn't bother me. Like, okay, that's your thing. I can't say anything about it. It's a feeling that comes within inside you, and I can't change that. But what I can change is the way I can try to show you that there is a way of seeing this as a departure from the video games, but in a way that is faithful to the video games, where you can expand something to the point where it actually has maybe greater relevance to the storyline that isn't in the video games, and that is adaptable for a television audience. Because just like with The Walking Dead, right? You don't really want to see the comic book to screen, right? Otherwise, it's super boring, it's super rote, and you're basically trying to create a cartoon then. Don't create a live action, human centered, anchored in reality, sci-fi sort of fantasy drama. We'll create an animation. That makes way more sense. But when you're talking about humans and what is possible in the real world, even in a video game where it's supposed to mimic sort of reality, well, there's the game where there's game mechanics that help you play a game for gameplay's sake, along with a story. But then there's show me a story, get me sucked into it without having me involve myself in the narrative. So you have to make certain choices.
You're giving the creator who is involved in this process of making this television show, Druckmann, you're giving them the opportunity to right any wrongs. It's the same thing that happened with Kirkman and The Walking Dead, right? Like
Exactly.
he regretted getting rid of Rick's arm. That's something that's talked about like really frequently. He went on record several times saying that was one of the biggest mistakes I ever made. I did it too early on, and so the TV show was an opportunity to right that ship. It's the same thing here, right? You're given the opportunity to right any of the things you feel like you wronged in the creation of this story initially. You're getting an opportunity to go back and change the story. That's not super common. That's really rare. Like usually the story is just the story.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can't like do a flashback of Frank and Bill and play out their drama in a video game. You just can't do it. Like
No, like what am I gonna do?
walk with Frank to the strawberry
Plant
patch.
flowers.
Try
Plant
to
flowers.
try to survive the jog, you know, like
It becomes like a redecoration show and a redecoration game and I'm like picking out wallpaper and flooring for like the stores. Like
exactly.
no.
So Bridget, having because you're a game player, we literally don't know this much about Frank and Bill, right? Like
Right.
No.
I'm like weird about this episode. There's things I don't like, there's things I do like, there's things I'm like, what? I'm like all over the place with this episode. But there was never this story to tell in the games. So it's not like they're rewriting anything, right? Like this came from their own creation. Like this was created based off
No,
characters.
there was a story to tell. We just don't know it.
Right.
Well, this is
So-
it. This is them telling that story now.
Well, but it's different.
It's different.
It's
Okay.
different.
I
So
haven't played
in-
the game, so I don't know.
Okay, so I'll
Yeah,
give
tell me more.
we went over this.
This
went
is
over
what-
when
this
we
is why
did
you
the
should-
immediate.
Right. This is why you should watch
Recap.
the reaction
But-
video.
But I'll give a short
have
synopsis. I'll
time.
give a short synopsis. So what ended up happening in the video game is that you meet Bill. He takes you on this quest. You're like trying to find a battery for a vehicle.
Mhm.
So he takes you into a really dangerous area of the town. While you're running and hiding, you go into a house and you see from like the lower chest slash like ab area down
Right.
of a person hanging by their neck.
Ugh. Okay.
Okay. So you just see their body hanging. Bill goes over and cuts the person down. And you find out that it's Frank.
Eventually, right.
Now,
Okay.
no, he says it in that scene
Ah.
that it's Frank. Prior to this, when you're prepping to go into this dangerous area of town, you are getting stuff ready with Bill, and he's telling you you should ditch Ellie. You shouldn't deal with someone that you have to protect, that you have to take care of,
Mhm.
that you care about. That hurts you in this world. Caring about people. That's like something we see so commonly in post-apocalyptic stuff, right?
Mhm.
Like the dystopian, like, can you care about people and still keep yourself safe? Like
Right.
conundrum.
Yeah.
So Bill's telling him like just ditch her, and Joel's like just drop it. This isn't gonna happen. Well, Bill goes off on a little tangent about how like I know what it's like to care about someone, really care about someone. I know what it's like to have and he pauses and then he says a partner. He's like really careful about his wording. It alludes to their relationship. That was
Okay.
pretty obvious to me. I mean, the way he says it, it's just you just have to hear it. But the way he says it, it's pretty obvious. And so once he cuts down the body, you can tell that he's feeling a little bit bad because Frank was like left in the dust. Like Bill's like, get out of here. I don't want to deal with this because I don't want to risk losing him, essentially. I'm going to cut you off before you have the opportunity to die in a sad way. And then I'm going to be really depressed. I'm just going to cut you off. So he cuts him off. Frank leaves. And then you find out he's covered in bites when you find him. They don't show you, but they're talking, him and Joel. He's covered in bites. He wanted to kill himself before he succumbed to the bites. So Bill is sad in that moment. You can tell that he's like regretful of his decisions and feels like responsible for Frank's death. But then they go out into the garage and there's a car out there that Ellie has found. And the battery that they had been looking for that they couldn't find, that was gone. You know, they almost get killed over this battery and then it's not even there. It's in that car. Frank went and stole the battery and was going to leave with it. And so then Bill's like, no, fuck this guy. Like he's like super angry. So the story is very different. The story still exists. They were a partnership. You don't know anything else about what happened to them other than it did not end well. And you get this happy ending instead.
Right.
Okay.
I
Well,
mean,
this
it's
sounds-
sad,
this sounds much
but
better.
it's happy.
Yeah.
See, but so that's what I'm saying. Like they're writing the ship in a way. They're like changing the way that they wrote it because they just didn't want it to end that way again,
Still sad, but you know, more poetic.
in a different way,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Right.
it's sad in a happy way.
Right. In a way that actually helps. And this is kind of like more of my point, in a way that actually helps Joel eventually, like it plants a seed in Joel to eventually open up to the idea of protecting, not just for the sake of the cure or whatever for a job, but just for the sake of protecting someone. Like you get that all in the letter, or he gets it all in the letter, but you see it, you as the audience have to buy that eventually Joel will have a relationship of some kind with Ellie. Otherwise, you're talking about a bunch of people who've not played the games who are like, oh, why is all of a sudden Joel magically having a relationship with Ellie? He was so cold at first. He's not receptive to this. People who have experienced the loss of a child, who know what it's like to lose a kid, they'll see that relationship, and all of a sudden, if he starts acting amiable to Ellie, they'll be like, oh, I can't connect with this in any way. I don't buy this. You have to buy this, and to do that, you have to take baby steps. You have to see the reality of what it's like to be the kind of person Bill is and the kind of person that Bill identifies in Joel. I mean, when he's first shot in this episode, his first thought is to call, not Tess, call Joel. He's the one I trust to do what needs to be done. He is the protector. He saw that immediately. And it's not like a male chauvinist sort of thing. He sees in Joel that he has what it takes to do the thing that needs to be done. That's why he counts on Joel. And so this episode is so necessary on a multitude of levels that is outside of the gameplay. Which, frankly, I saw some of the gameplay on TikTok. Like, it's a supercut of all the scenes with Bill and how many times he tells Joel to cut himself loose from Ellie. It's like, she's only going to drag you down, and they're going back and forth saying, shut the fuck up, Bill.
He hates Ellie.
Yeah, like
from
really.
like the first second he sees her, he's like, what are you doing here? And he like handcuffs her. He's like a total jerk.
About to shoot
And
her.
she's the same way back to him.
Yeah. Well, because fuck Bill.
Yeah.
In the game.
As I'm yelling at him. Yeah. During my gameplay. Bill, why did you get me into this?
Doesn't she hit him with a pipe at one point? Like, she just runs up
Yeah.
and smacks him with a pipe.
Yeah.
Right. It's really annoying, actually. The more you watch it. And all of this for like almost nothing, because like you said, the battery was in the car the whole time. Frank stole the battery. And it's like you do all this gameplay just to kind of wind up into the spot. And like, what was it all for? So I'm happy with this over that on a multitude of levels, not just like the narrative ones. Like it would have been wouldn't it be super annoying to watch this without you having any gameplay, at least? Like that gameplay,
Well, yeah,
the gameplay is what saves it.
So much of it is like figuring out like where am I supposed to go next? How do I get from this spot to that spot? I have to use planks and I have to find ladders and I'm walking over rooftops and I'm trying to figure out my way around the booby traps that Bill has set up. Like that's the puzzle work is what makes the game interesting. It's puzzle work, cutscenes, and then like intense gameplay where you're like fighting off, the infected. That's what makes the game interesting. But if you don't have any of the gameplay and it's just the cutscenes,
It's super annoying.
It's an okay story. It's a good story, you know what I mean? But it's not television worthy.
No, it's just it's not filler. It's just where do you connect as an audience to watching this as a TV show? It's just nonsensical. It's not narrative. It's just all. If this was like, what was it called? What was the movie with Nick Cage? and the Constitution, Declaration of Independence. What was it called? Oh, National Treasure. Right.
National
If this was
Treasure.
National Treasure and it was like a big old puzzle, but that's not what this show is about. The show isn't about this heist like puzzle solving adventure. No, this isn't what they want this story to be about. They want it to be about the emotional impact of having to do this. And so, like, yeah, it's all about the story that they want to tell. And 3 episodes deep, if you're going to criticize it in this manner, without even giving it a couple of episodes to digest, and then maybe coming back to it and saying, okay, maybe this episode didn't have a point. You know, then I'd be like, okay, I have nothing to say. But like all I can't abide when people don't understand, like gamers, let's say. I'm not going to paint all gamers with a brush, but when they say, oh, you need to be shackled to the source material, or the same thing with the comic book readers, you have to be shackled to the source material for you to be able to say, oh, you're a Walking Dead fan. I always laugh when it diverges, because it's like, you don't understand creative license. You just don't. And you're rejecting the possibility of this show being successful to a wider audience than just selfish little you.
Well, I think
Because
they're being really sensitive to the source material too. It's not like they came in guns a-blazing and completely changed every aspect of it. They've kept so many of the cutscenes in the show the same exact dialogue, the same exact delivery. They've done that. So I
Yeah.
don't. That argument isn't even logical, like in terms of that.
No, but it has
I
to
mean,
be all the time.
But there are times when going in and changing everything about the original does not work either. Well, changing things about the original does not work.
I'll acknowledge that.
Case
Sure.
Oh
in
yeah,
point-
of course.
Case in point, the remake of The Stand, which was horrible.
We went on a rant
And
with that.
they took artistic license with that, and the artistic license they took was awful. It was
Should've been
awful. It's one of the worst
Yeah.
things I've ever watched.
And as long as it works, it
And-
works. But if it doesn't, sure, yeah,
They
criticize
changed-
it.
But they changed things for absolutely no reason, like changing the main focus of the series from Stu Redman, who is the focus of the book, to Howard, who is the villain in the book, and they made him the focal point of the show, which totally just upended the entire series. Like they just ruined it. And so they've taken risks with this show by doing this, and it's worked for them.
Mhm.
But it can be a situation where it does not work. They've avoided
Oh yeah,
it
of
so
course.
far.
Yeah.
I think what it's proving is that they have a quality writing staff.
Yeah. Oh, and well, having just like in
Like,
The Walking
really.
Dead, having Kirkman on, as creative for The Walking Dead, they have Druckmann, on this
Yeah.
show.
I love how they write Ellie. Like, she is so funny. I mean, she
hilarious.
is hilarious.
So she is very much like her video game counterpart. I got on comic books now. Her video game counterpart. She's like kind of sassy and a little smart assy. That's,
I mean, props
Reminds me
to
of
Bella
someone.
Ramsey for pulling it off, because she's doing
Yeah,
a
it's-
fucking fantastic job too.
I agree.
it's been good. It's been good.
Before we go back to Rachel, because I do want to dig in a little bit more on some of the things you weren't like. Maybe after hearing this, there's a little bit of a difference, but I do want to read some comments because we're live. But I'm not going to go all the way back. But Takira says, yes, Dave, to me, Joel and Ellie should have this weird bumpy relationship because Joel can't come back from what he's lost, or at least not yet. Pivy says, the point of feudal gameplay is friends we make along the way. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, but then, it's gameplay, right? So it's like when somebody asks you about your day, they don't want you to drone on and on about every time you dropped a spoon or stubbed your toe. They want the good bits. Good storytelling. Good point. There you go. Takira says, when I was really young reading Stephen King, I would be upset the story diverged from what I read. I learned my lesson with True Blood. I was so grateful with the changes they made from the books. Pivy says, I suppose it all depends on which changes they make. Thinking emoji. Notorious Negan says, hey guys. Hey, Notorious Negan. What's up?
Hey.
Dowg on
Hey,
Facebook.
Notorious Negan.
Pivy says, Negan has entered the chat. It's a common thing. Yeah. And Takira says, Ellie's personality is perfection. So going back to my friend Rachel, and look, I am happy, really, really, really happy when somebody can come in and say, well, there's some things I didn't quite like, because then we could talk about it. And you can represent that voice of somebody who has the same feelings. Because like Lois,
Maybe.
Lois,
We'll see.
well, no, Lois in the chat on our reaction stream said, oh, this episode felt a little off because, and this may be one of your comments, I'll let you have it, but it's a bottle episode. And I know you don't like bottle
is.
episodes.
Not a big
Normally.
fan.
No.
Well, that was
Not
what
a
I
big
yelled
fan.
about on Sunday. So fair.
But you didn't like it. But you did like it. Sorry, you did like it, Bridget.
I did like it.
Oh, you
Okay,
did.
we're
You
going- okay.
you did
Lay it
like
on
it.
us.
Okay.
I did like it, and I will tell you exactly why I like it. There was one aspect that made me not hate this episode. Okay, so where do I start? I love Nick Offerman. Okay. We start there. I absolutely love everything he's ever done, even his weird roles that sometimes don't make any sense. I still love the way he portrays every character. Yes, he's always a little bit Ron Swanson, and I don't know if I can ever fully get that character out of my brain when I see him on screen. So that's my fault, not his. Nick Offerman is an amazing actor. Who can just nails every role that he does. Yes, it's true. I'm not a huge fan of bottle episodes unless they can move our story forward. Okay. In this episode, we meet two characters, literally meet two characters that we have
MEAT?
not seen in the. I mean, we'll get to that.
Will we? Anyway.
We meet these characters that we have not seen. We didn't see them in the first two episodes. So we're meeting two brand new characters that we've never seen before. The love story is beautiful. It was a little weird watching Ron Swanson be all intimate and it's not even that it was with a man because that didn't bother me
It's
at
just
all.
Him
It's
as
just-
intimate
it
in
was
general.
So
Just
hairy.
intimate in general.
Did it
It
make
was
you
so
feel
hairy.
awkward?
It was so hairy.
It was
All
so
the
hairy.
hair and the beard on beard action, and I'm like, like I just yeah.
I have nothing to say to that. It's perfectly
And
valid.
on top of that, Ron Swanson being intimate in general, I'm like, goo, Ron, what?
Did you say goo, Ron?
Yeah, Kuron.
Yes.
Gross.
Goo. Okay. So, and then at the end of the episode, they're dead.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
That's
so
something we
so
said
we
too.
have this episode of characters. We spend an hour getting to know these characters, and at the end, they're dead. I said this to Charity. I think it was the first thing I said. If it weren't for Nick Offerman, I would have hated this episode. Hated it. I would have been pissed
So wait,
if not for Nick Offerman.
this is all like the beginning of the first run of episodes in Fear the Walking Dead season 7, because for a while we were introduced to these characters that they would suddenly get killed off.
That die immediately, and I'm like, what is the point of these characters?
Ashton Arbob's character and
I was emotionally invested in these men
Right,
for
Wawa.
a whole hour, and
Yeah.
then you
Yes,
rip them away from
Wawa.
me. And then you ripped them away from me.
And-
You pulled my heart out and then stomped on it. Fuck you.
this is something we said in the last episode. Like, I feel like we're recapping on the reaction video, but yeah, something I said in the episode prior was, I have a feeling that we're going to be introduced to characters that will be killed off either in the same episode or another episode down the line. So,
Okay.
which
So
is
there is
faithful
a
to the game, though, in a way.
There is a point to it, though. There is a point to it, though.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
Because we're seeing the importance of having someone to love and care about in order to make you move ahead. Bill and Frank illustrate that for us because Joel could have been Bill, right? He's closed himself off. Yes, he had Tess, but he never allowed himself to really have Tess. You know what I mean? He never really allowed himself to have it. And that's how Bill was until Frank came along. And that is how Joel is until Ellie comes along. So they're showing us that it is possible to love and care for someone, even though you know it's not always going to be forever.
Even if there's a
There's going to
death
be an
date,
end.
like Bill was
It is going
conscious
to
of that.
end, but there's still a reason to go on, and that was the point of this story, was to show that this is where Ellie and Joel are going. This is the point with Ellie and Joel too.
But we're not
It's
building
not,
a love story between Joel and Ellie.
but it doesn't have to be romantic love. He can love Ellie without it being romantic. He can love her like you love a friend or a daughter, you know, or a sister. I mean, he can love Ellie without it being a romantic love story, but the romance illustrates it as well. It's just another kind of love. All kinds of love is what you need to move ahead in the apocalypse.
Yeah.
You also run the risk of getting hurt that way.
Well, yeah, but
Sorry, I guess I am Bill.
no, but
Yeah, welcome to the club.
I mean, but Bill, in the end, it was worth the hurt for him to have what he had. He had 20 years of love with somebody, and they shared a life, and they had, you know, they just had a life together, and he never thought he would have that. So in the
That's
end, he
more
was
than
even glad
like
for that.
that's more than some
That's
people
more than
get
people
now.
get in like now. I mean, apocalypse aside, most people don't get that.
I mean, that to me was what made it so beautiful, was watching. I'm going to call him Ron Swanson, watching Ron open up and realize that he can be a person too. He can exist in this world and be a part of it. Yes, it's after almost everybody is gone.
I mean,
But he found
everybody
that
to
one
him
person
was
that,
gone.
it allowed him to find that one person, much like John, because John said the same thing to Dwight.
John Dory. Yeah.
The apocalypse gave him more than he'd ever had before the apocalypse.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that's happening with Bill. The apocalypse gave him more than he ever had before the apocalypse, or ever thought he would have.
Right.
And so how can he be sad about that?
Right. And
How can he regret it?
And the
He
key
can't.
takeaway here is like that he opened the door to that, because you could tell he was all about living that off the grid life.
Mm-hmm.
And had he not relented,
but
several times along the way,
he also thought that was all he had open to him. He never thought he could have any other kind of a life.
Right. Agreed.
You know, he never thought he could have anything. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was beautiful.
I can't switch to my notes. Okay. Yeah. Right. Well, let's continue down the path of. So, Rach, just if there's do you have anything else to kind of say to that or about that, or?
No, I don't think so.
Well, let's read more comments. Takira says, so I know we had to wait until the end, but it did move the episode forward. Also, maybe it's because of all the Walking Dead I've watched, but I know these characters weren't going to be a constant. Agreed.
I really wanted Nick Offerman to be a constant. So I also told Sharon at the end, I kind of thought, so this episode was also a little predictable, if I'm being honest. Like, I kind of saw a lot of things coming before they came out, and Bill killing himself was one of them. Like, when he came out with the glasses and the bottle of wine, I knew already that the crushed up pills were in the bottle. It surprised me that he dumped them in the glass, because I thought he was going to like reveal that they were in the bottle before they drank it, but instead he did it afterwards. What I thought was going to happen, and this would have actually been sadder, is if there wasn't enough in the bottle of wine and Bill actually survived.
It'll be like TWD, really.
That crossed my
thought
mind too, Rachel.
Yeah.
That crossed my mind too.
And then he was going to have to live without Frank. That's what I thought was going to happen.
Let me comment on that for a second, because I think what Bill was his intention with the pouring the pills out, the crushed pills into Frank's glass, was that he was never going to tell him that he was going to kill himself.
Right. I don't think he wanted to put that pressure on Frank, but he also wasn't going to lie to him when the subject came up.
Right, which is interesting because Frank is typically the bad liar. But now Bill has gotten to the point where he's found this purpose, this life, that he adopts some things from Frank, and then he loves someone so much that he couldn't bear lying to him. There's a lot of switcheroo stuff going on here too. Bill assuming that he would be the first one to go, and then all of a sudden it's Frank. So it's interesting to see the roles reverse. Knowing that he would have offed himself silently without Frank's ever knowing. But Frank is just smart enough and observational enough from the beginning that he knows Bill enough to know, you fucker. You did it. You did it. You did it. You're going to kill. I'm furious with. He knows he would be furious with him. But he says, it is kind of romantic. So he relents too, just like Bill would after all his haranguing. So over the year, over
You don't
20
wanna
years.
spend your last moments angry at the person you love.
Yeah, which shows how much they love and care for each other, and which is beautiful. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all going to disagree with things that our spouses do, but at the end of the day, you still love them, and the question is it worth arguing about, right? I guess at the end of the day, if you have somebody with you. So let's read more comments. Ivy says, I just scrolled up. I love Bearded Dave on my screen. Okay. Tom says they both could not sing. And they started to sing again. It was going to drink some drugged wine. Okay. Takira says, it's Thomas. Takira says the apocalypse.
Thomas, you weren't going to go run into his tripwire
to kill yourself?
Just one time, I'm going to run into your tripwires.
That was great.
That was so funny.
Takira says the apocalypse also gave Daryl a better life than before, and Gabe and Eugene, if you ask me. Pivy says TV shows could have no singing. Change my mind. Wait, you can't. Thomas says, speaking of John, there's a great John D t-shirt for sale until Saturday at Celtic TSO on Instagram. Check him out. There's a cool Fear the Walking Dead dedication t-shirt that Thomas made. Blazy Garber says, send me the link on IG, Tom. Go to his account. You'll see it right there. It's there a couple times. She's right here. Takira says, yes, I need a JDR shirt. Pivy says, the apocalypse helped Daryl to finally get some, so there's that. True. Says, I said what I said. Takira says, Bill
too, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. For the first time. That was amazing. Okay.
He said he was with a girl a long time ago.
It really doesn't
Right.
count.
A long time ago.
Right. A girl, because he called it a girl, and he is very, very old. I mean, according to the show. So, Takira says, Bill being a badass, I knew he would make it through that firefight, but damn, I was shocked when it wasn't him in the wheelchair. Yeah, exactly. The switcheroo did catch me off guard, too. Walking Dead Eternal! What's up, dude?
Yep, I thought the same thing.
I thought Frank was just a bad
Frank
guy at
was a bad
first when he was in the dirt hole.
I
said, "Don't trust him."
I was watching it with Rachel, and I had myself muted, and she's like, "Don't trust him." And I'm just sitting here like,
I said he's got douche face. Shoot him in his douchey face.
It's the TWD brain. You can't shake it. You just can't shake it.
Right.
It's true. I thought the same
leave him
thing.
alone in there. What are you, crazy? Stop it.
I'm not as bloodthirsty as Rachel, but I felt it. I think we talked about that in the
Can't
reaction
trust
video.
anyone in the apocalypse.
Yeah. So okay, I did want to put a.
Singing.
Okay, so I want to go back to Ellie in the basement of the convenience store, the Cumberland Farms, I think it was, convenience store. There was a
Bill's store where he was hanging out with Ellie. Like never mind. Sorry, more parallels. That was Bill's store.
Bill's store. Bill's catching something from Fear of the Walking Dead.
Bait and tackle.
McNeil's bait and tackle, whatever.
McNeil's bait and tackle.
So in the basement, she sees the infected, and I'm like sitting there watching the screen like a hawk both times. I didn't catch it the first time, but the second time, I almost thought when Ellie has the knife out, she cuts the little swath across his forehead, the infected's forehead, and you see all the like little mycelial bits underneath. That's fine. Cool.
It's like
But
fuzzy.
then there's this weird, almost like it feels like an understanding. And at one point, I catch the infected, I think, and this is like one of those things where you think you see spooky beta shit. And I think I see the infected nodding. I don't know if you saw that, but I felt like that was this weird.
It almost felt like she was having some sort of like psychic conversation,
Right.
like, or
See,
like
that-
controlling him in a
What?
way.
I
Like,
didn't want to use
like
the P
you're
word.
not gonna. I don't know.
I didn't get
That's
that
what
at
it felt
all.
like.
What I got was earlier on in the series, she asked Joel, you've killed a bunch of them, and is it hard because you can't because you remember that they used to
Used
be
to be
Remember that they're
people.
people.
Good call.
And that was
Yeah.
what I got out of it.
Good.
Was she was like looking at it like, is this still a person? Is it something, you know, am I going to feel bad about killing it? And then when she cut it and it didn't react or have any kind of
It wasn't like
human, yeah,
"Ah."
it didn't have any kind of human reaction whatsoever. She was like, no,
Oh,
this
it
thing
was
is
so
not human.
it was so creepy because it was like so dead in the eyes.
It wasn't.
That was some
why was
quality
it s-
background acting, by the
Yeah.
way. That
Mm.
Why was it so like tired? Like we've seen like really fast ones, and like why shouldn't it have been more like?
That's why I was
You know what I
like,
mean?
is she
Like, it
like
seemed
is she like
tired.
calming it with her mind, like some sort of weird Z Nation
No, I think
I realized
Murphy
it was trapped,
thing?
but
I think
That's sort of
I
what
mean,
I
I
was
think
thinking, but not really mysteriously
like
spooky.
it hasn't been able to move or grow, and so like it's
Or
just
feed.
feeding on the inside of itself.
Yep.
So it's getting weak because it hasn't been able to feed or it's all it has to feed on is that human. So
but then we
it's
also
getting
saw like
weak.
those dead, dried out things too. So
Right.
what? So was it like?
Well, it was in
I
a
don't know.
basement, so there must have been groundwater that seeps up. There could be, what was that? There could be rainwater that goes down too. So like, okay, the water might be something. I asked the same question in my notes. I said, well, Joel does say that the infected can last for a certain period of time. You know, like it could be a month, could be 20 years. So I did think of that myself, but then I was wondering, okay, what is the science of these things? What makes them last as long as they do? So I still have more questions too, Rach. Like, how did that thing survive so long without food? Because nobody's down there and there's no bones down there. So it's something to maybe.
Because it's feeding on the human
I mean,
body.
it's suppose it could have collapsed fairly recently.
Right. That's
You
the
know,
only thing
we
I
don't
could
know
think
the
of.
time frame that it was trapped under there. But yeah, I thought that was what stuck out to me. I thought it was strange that it wasn't more lungy and like trying to get her more. You know what I mean?
I mean,
that-
it did have like that 1 week,
Yes, that's what I was
you
thinking.
know,
That
like
little
Yeah.
twitch.
Star, but that was what made me think that it's just weak. It's just it has no. I mean, maybe the mycelial has to, like a muscle, it has to work, and if it's been atrophied that long, you know, because like the ones that are out free, it can make them move around and the spores move. But maybe
Fair.
this one,
They're like getting
maybe this one is like
exercise.
atrophied or something.
I don't know, but that all of that actually lends to the fact that I feel like I'm just keeping my eye on it. I feel like there was this weird, and I did see the nod, like the infected nodded in a weird way, like it almost looked down and nodded. So it could have just been anything. The infected could
Was
have
it
been
like, it's okay to kill me?
yeah, right.
Is that what you-
That's what I got. That's what I'm alluding to. Is that like
Put me out of my misery,
so?
fellow half dead person who's for
Fellow
some
half
reason immune.
mushroom.
Right. You know me, I'm not going to go down the route of saying that's what it means. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying I'm keeping my eye on these facts the more we move forward because of the first observation
That's
I
what
made
it
in the first
means,
episode.
Dave.
Right?
Bridget's the
I'm
conspiracy
like-
theorist, not me.
I'm like partially with you because I feel like there's got to be
I'm partially with me too.
something we're missing.
Yes, exactly.
There's got to be something that we're missing, like as far as Ellie. I'm not gonna say abilities, but like, okay, yeah,
Right,
she got
right.
bit and she's not being infected. So is she like something in between?
Right. Is there
And also,
Right.
have we? Correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't seen any other children that were born during all of this. Yes? No?
The one.
Oh,
at the
I guess the
beginning.
scratched kid.
This-
That's
yeah.
right. Okay. I
Right.
was gonna say maybe it has something to do with her
Oh.
growing up in.
No,
And,
no.
I mean,
this.
Ellie says she goes to school, so I'm sure there's other kids. We just didn't see them.
who was the battery
Okay.
dealer, by the way? What was his name again? Jim? In the first
Battery
episode?
dealer?
They were trying to get the battery from this dude, and he dies. He gets shot in the face by the fireflies.
I thought
Oh,
it was like Dale
Oh.
or something.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
His two henchmen were born after the fall. They're 19.
Okay.
Those are other two. But actually, on that note, interestingly enough, she says, I have a friend who played this game and knows all about it. And there's this woman, and she's accurate. There is a character in the game who is this friend that she knows that's older than 20 years old? That's what I want to know.
I mean, could she be talking about a teacher? I mean, could it be as simple
I
as one of her
I
teachers?
assumed it was her mom.
I assumed she was a friend.
She said
of hers
friend.
who was about the same age that maybe was just talking a lot of shit about knowing anything about the game or read about it in a magazine or something.
Oh, she's
I didn't
14.
think-
That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. It's just weird a little bit. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, it might
I
be
also wonder if
it might
there's-
be the same person that wasn't in the mall with her.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I
Right.
was thinking too. It's definitely not her, and I hope it's not her.
Well, if it was her, she would have said, "Oh, I used to play this, right?"
But how old would she
why
be?
would-
How old is Ellie in the show?
14.
Okay. So that friend would have to be at least 12 years older than her. I want to say 6 years old. I'm giving the.
Are you saying that the fungus has given her eternal youth, Dave?
I'm just saying. No. All I'm saying is
I
that
think somebody would have noticed that.
whoever her friend
Well,
is what she uses at the show.
Okay, so there is a fungus in Oregon that is the largest living organism on Earth, and it's like 2,000 years old. So possibly, maybe he did give her eternal life.
Guys, all I'm saying is I want to know who this friend is. Is this 12
Yeah.
years older friend, and that's
Well,
it.
and I'm gonna say like I feel like there's got to be a little bit more of a connection between Ellie and the infected. I don't know what it is yet, but I think there's gonna be some connection between her and them.
Right.
Like you said, Dave, she was kind of staring for a while, and I took it as just like curiosity,
Well,
right? She's
and-
a kid being curious.
Here's what lends.
But
There's a
there
little
might
bit
be
more.
more.
A little bit more evidence to nail that down a little bit is that when the infected first sees her, it perks up. It does that thing, like it tilts its head really quick and makes that squeaky sound, right? But then instead of going crazy, and maybe there's two reasons for this, but maybe as she gets closer, and just like we were saying about Tess not doing anything, right? Not giving it a reason to retaliate.
Yeah.
She gets closer, it is calm. She gets closer, it is calm. It's not like the Walking. See, we have Walking Dead brain. It's so as she gets closer, she's not giving it a reason to attack. So that's why he's so docile, or the infected is so docile. That could be a reason. The other reason could be spooky beta shit. They have a connection. Anyway,
Well, maybe
say-
it can sense that she's infected already.
Right, kind of like the
okay,
green sprout kid.
But she's
that's the third reason.
not,
Okay,
right? Or no, she is because the thing
She
turned
is.
red on her. Also the things on its eye, like when it got really close, I expected the things on its face to like go towards her
to
and they
reach
didn't.
out. Yeah,
Yeah, and I don't know if that's a thing or I don't know if that's anything, but I
Those little
was like, why aren't
fungus,
they reaching
those little
for her?
fungus things that stick up remind me of the bug lady on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mantis?
yeah, man.
Man-
Yes,
that's
that's
her
her
name.
name. That's her
Her
name.
those little
couldn't
antennas
remember.
growing out everybody's heads. Every time I see him, I'm like, man, this looks like.
It is
Guardians.
funny, like the one that you see that gets like blown up or whatever that Bill's like watching, and it's got like that huge chunk.
Little
Like,
thing.
I don't know why it cracks me up.
So a couple. I feel like there were a couple of Parks and Rec shout outs going on in this episode. Okay,
Okay.
number one, when Bill goes to the Home Depot. Do you remember in Parks and Rec when Ron went to the Home Depot and the kid asked him if he needed any help, and he's like, just looks straight at him and goes, "I know more than you."
Clearly,
And
Bill
then-
knows than most.
That is 100%
Ron Swanson.
Then when when Bill cooks his dinner and he sits and he's watching the monitor where he's watching like the infected walk into his traps while he's eating dinner. It made me think of when Leslie set up Ron's birthday and she just gave him the steak and the whiskey in his office and set up the TV so he could watch the bridge on the River Kwai. And he's just
Oh,
eating
yeah.
his dinner and watching being like, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and then he did the same thing and Bill did the same thing, watching the.
Mm-hmm.
And also, the words he said, "It never gets old," sounds like something Ron would say. Never gets old,
Yeah,
right?
it never gets old. By the way, Bill's traps were the shit, man. Those were
Yeah,
pretty
they
awesome.
were.
Yeah.
Death traps by Bill.
Alexandria could have used some of those.
No
Right?
shit, right? Alexandria could have
Right?
used the bill.
I'm just saying, yeah, Alexandria.
We all
could've
need
used
a
the
bill.
Wait, before we continue, I want to say hi to Mitchell. Hi, Mitchell. Hi.
Hi, Mitchell.
There we go. Okay, and he says, I really like this episode. Takira says it was my favorite one too. Pi says, Eternal Youth Fungus, count me in. Thomas says, Sharon D's internet has been infected by a fungus. It's true, you're frozen again, Sharon D. Which usually is like the countdown when you get kicked off. Pivy says, I thought she was just sitting very still. Sharon D.
You can hear me though, right?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Yeah.
Just like the first time.
Yeah.
Thomas says, if they had only worn masks and flattened the curve. Okay. Thomas also says, Sharon D would have made an amazing ventriloquist.
Thank you. One of my many talents.
Yeah, exactly. Here, I'm going to
They
drink.
were talking earlier in the conversation about spores and like breathing them in, because that's the concept in the game.
Right. Actually, just going back to that one thing about the infected in the basement.
Are they all infected in the game too?
No, not technically, but maybe, I don't know. But I will say, I did appreciate the prosthetics.
So a firm no.
Yeah.
I'm telling you it's not true.
I do appreciate the prosthetics on that one infected though. You could, like you said, you could see like the stamen and the whatever, all the little spore, the places where the spores would be on the face, and all the little details, the yellowed eyes and stuff like that. It was just really cool to get up close without being attacked and actually getting to see the visual details. I thought Rachel might appreciate that too, just like all the little bits and bobs and stuff. But to connect that,
I see all these different variations of the infected, and I asked Takira to send me a link because someone had like documented all the different. I want to do a bunch of different masks.
Oh, cool! Because you already
all the different.
Yeah, you already did,
I already did the clicker one.
The clicker mask, right?
Like
on your
the fully like face blown clicker mask. Yeah.
Yeah, head to Looks That Kill Me on Instagram. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, you can check that out.
On TikTok.
And on TikTok. That's right. You do have a TikTok
I am on
account.
the TikTok.
Mm-hmm. But I wanted to connect something there to near the end of the episode when you see old Frank and Bill, and Frank is struggling to paint Bill. And I didn't notice this the first time, but on the second watch, yeah, it's rough to watch, and you're focusing more on the fact that Frank's having a hard time. But doesn't Bill in the watercolor painting kind of look like what an infected would look like? The streaks going to the side, kind of like the mushroom streaks from the face, sort of. I just thought that was kind of interesting. I didn't notice it at first.
When I watched that scene, I just thought that even with the lack of articulation in his hands, it still was such a beautiful painting.
No, I agree.
I loved that like detail on the right side, and the way that his hand had shaken across the canvas. There was just something really beautiful about it.
Oh yeah, totally. I was just commenting on the fact that some infected look like that. They're like streaks of fungus going across the face horizontally, sort of thing. Anyway,
when they in the very final shot, when they pull back in the room, one of his paintings is hanging on the wall, one of his paintings of Bill, and it's just amazing, like the detail they put into the set decoration. If you go back and watch again, look at how the house changes throughout the years.
All those paintings too, like the
all the
different kinds.
paintings change, the colors in the house change,
Pop.
Everything in the house changes over those 20 years, and the attention that they paid to the set detail was amazing.
Yeah, even
there were
after
some
their
paintings of people that I didn't recognize too, and I wanted to go back during my second watch and pay closer attention to some of these paintings, because I don't know if maybe they're like video game shout outs or if they're characters that we will meet in the future, but they were definitely people that we hadn't seen yet.
Yeah, mostly still life, like vegetables and and gardens inside the gazebo painting I saw also. That was pretty cool. But yeah, I think you're right. I think we should have most of it's Bill, really, to be honest.
Yeah, a lot of
Bill
them
is everywhere. So yeah. I thought that was pretty cool.
I mean, those baby blues.
But Sharon, you're totally right. The house went from sepia effectively. Like, just like I happen to be a guy who lives in this house that was my mother's. And then it goes to this, like, it's mine and Frank's house, you know?
It changes on the inside, but by the end, and I'm not even talking about just when Joel and Ellie come, but the last, like, few years of it, the outside of the house is super weathered.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't paint it. It hasn't been painted or anything, which, I mean, I guess, you know, as two older dudes, it would probably be difficult to go find the paint and then paint that big ass house. But I'm just saying, while they did change everything on the inside, on the outside, it remained the same.
I'd like to think it was one of Frank's compromises to Bill. We have to make it look like nobody lives here. It's like, also, we're getting old as shit. So, we got to cut our losses.
fair.
Right? Like, Bill finally got something, is what I'm saying. It's like, can we just leave it?
That would be a super difficult job to sand and paint that house. Like,
Yeah.
for real. That would be a lot of work.
Yeah, because you got to scrape and then repaint. You can't just paint over it. I mean, you can, but you have to have the right paint as well. We have to have paint with primer. Oh, on the note of that, though, something I actually saved for you, Sharon Day. I thought you would have appreciated, in a weird kind of way, that neighborhood. Each and every house or property, I should say, and the different areas of that town had a date, a circa date. And I thought that was kind of cool for you because I know you're big into history. Like one of the Bill's house is circa 17. Let me just see what it was. I wrote it down.
Did you notice that the name of the town is Lincoln?
Lincoln. Oh yeah, and there was like an Applewood house and stuff like that. Each house has a different name. Basically, it was called Lincoln though. The town.
Yeah, the town's called Lincoln.
Lincoln, Massachusetts. Let me see. It was. Man, I have so many notes. I shouldn't have this many notes. It's terrible. 17 something. I don't know. I'm so sorry, guys. This is live. This is not a pre-recorded. Dead air. Dead air. 1793. Yeah.
I'm wondering because like when we show them rounding everybody up in the town, like I'm wondering is this like a little tourist history town or something? But like obviously it was like people lived there because they were rounding up all the people there.
Yeah,
that they found in the field later.
Well, and they mass graving them later because, like Joel says, there wasn't any room. But yeah, I just noticed that there are some communities, historical communities, that have to keep, according to historical society, have to put the circa dates on their properties and keep it
St.
up.
Augustine.
There you go.
St. Augustine, Florida is one. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I thought that was emblematic of that, and I thought you would appreciate that more than anybody else because you love that sort. I mean, as annoying as it is, I'm sure. Like I thought you'd appreciate that more than anybody else. I look out for you. I did want to focus though on the door itself, the spray paint on the door, because maybe we could brain source this one. The spray paint does say 9/30, which is obviously the date, September 30th, 3 days after the fall. And then there's a number on the left of the X, and it's 31.01. I don't know what that means, but we'll go back to it. The next one on the right of the X is NE, which could be something. And at the bottom, it says 0A. So what do you think?
All on one
Spray paint. Yeah, the red spray paint on his dark door.
Okay.
So the 9/30 is easy, September 30th, right? The 3101, I don't know what that means. 31.01 was one of the numbers on the door on the left. NE on the right, and then 0A. Specifically, they crossed out the O to say 0A. I don't know what that means. So, okay. We're all caught. We're all caught. Let me go to the comments first.
I feel like I'd have to see it. Like I'm trying to picture it in my head, and I
Here.
can't.
I would put it somewhere, but I can't. 31.01 NE and 0A.
Cost, huh.
So,
Ivy says maybe that means that cheese costs $31.10.
or the house does now. Property values have plummeted.
Did you say the O was scratched out and there was an A on it?
Yeah, the O was crossed out to indicate 0. Like the way
So
zeros
like
are.
a circle and a slash.
Yeah, exactly.
So they
That way you
found
know that
they
it's a
found
zero
an
versus an
A.
O.
They found an A.
The Walking Dead A.
And
I have a B.
Solved.
Let's see.
0A. I don't know. This is on his door. The only thing I can think is like 0 adults because they didn't find anyone in his house.
Okay,
But I don't know. I don't know what the other numbers.
Right, because this is an X, and the numbers are in the X.
Yeah, in the quadrants of the X. So the top.
Okay, because that's how
Okay.
that's how like FEMA would notate like how many dead bodies there were in a building.
0 alive. 0 alive. There we go.
0 alive. Okay.
NE, I don't know what that means. NE, not empty? No, that's not true.
No entities. No entry. No entry.
Maybe no entry.
No. Non-existent. No, I don't know.
Sorry. Let's go to some of the comments in the meantime. Because Walking Dead Eternal says, I could see Daryl seeing these infected in the spin-off show. Yeah, could be something similar. Takira says that could be a good change or addition. Pivy says, how is it that Daryl spin-off going anyway? If he's wearing a beret and going, oh, I will riot. Make a note of
Okay,
those notes.
I got it. I got the chart.
Okay.
Sorry, I got the chart. So what did it say, Dave? Can you repeat it for me?
The chart. Okay, so there's an X. At the top quadrant of the X is 9:30, which
That's
is
the date.
The
Yeah.
date.
Yep.
On the left, it says 31.01.
Okay, hold on.
One.
Okay, so that's the rescue team identifier.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So who searched the house?
On the right of the
Yes.
yeah.
So like
Okay.
for us, they would be things like DEA for like Drug Enforcement Agency, or it would say 1-162, which is 1st Battalion of the 162nd Infantry
Okay.
Oregon National
Okay.
Guard,
Okay, so
or
then
whatever.
the right would be NE is non-entities, right?
No entry. It
No
says
entry.
hazards present
I
is
said
what
no
that
en-
stands for.
That was one of my guesses.
Rachel, shake
So-
hands.
It can say any for no entry. It can say rats in all capital.
Which mean what is
It
it?
can say
rats.
EXT or EX, which means exterior surveyed, or it can say F/W, which is food or water.
Okay. What does the
Oh,
0A
okay.
mean at the bottom?
0A, so number of live and dead victims found in the structure.
0 alive, I
So-
win.
0 alive.
Yeah.
You got it. Yep.
So
Cool.
0 is no bodies found.
So on that note, okay, one thing that is easily taken for granted is that Fedra is a thing right away, which makes Bill super right in the evac sequence of the people that are eventually mass graved. Fedra is a thing right away. Right away.
Well, yeah, it's the Federal
Emergency
Disaster Response
Right.
Agency.
Do we
Right.
have that
So,
in
no,
life?
Ours would be FEMA.
Right. So if this game is based
So-
on reality, maybe. I don't
Well,
know.
Fedra is just FEMA. It's just FEMA. It's just they didn't want to call it FEMA.
Why not?
Hey, here's this game with all these bad guys called FEMA. So next time you have a hurricane, make sure you call them.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah, that would be a really bad.
No, that's
Yeah.
it's just really
Bad PR.
interesting because they could have said FEMA, and eventually they could have said, "Oh, FEMA eventually became what is now known as Fedra," but they did Fedra right away. Their uniforms had Fedra. They had a whole patch situation going on.
Right.
I just thought that was interesting to note. I'm not saying
I'm
this
just
or
saying
that. I
it's-
just thought it was kind of
What
funny.
I'm saying is that's this universe's version of FEMA.
Maybe
Because
maybe.
in the game universe they don't want to call it FEMA. just that's just bad practice.
Wait,
When they're
Well, it's like
bad
we don't
guys.
have a Fedra. Like they made up a specific name for an agency because they don't want to get
They don't-
tried
well,
for
it-
treason.
Well, no, because it's
okay.
because it
Well,
would
I mean-
be, it would be bad for
For
young
treason.
people to think that FEMA is an evil entity.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, that's an interesting pin to drop because in 2013, how long after that was Katrina? It was 2 years after Katrina?
I thought it was in 08. was
Oh
it
wait,
not?
okay. Well, it's not that long after, and people were still talking about it for years after that. I wanted to drop a pin in that because, I mean, this could partially be in response to.
I'm sorry,
that.
it was in 05.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Well, and we also had like FEMA disasters throughout the better part of a decade from 05 to 15, didn't we? With the tornadoes in the South and stuff like that. And relief not coming. Texas had that flood as well, and people weren't being helped quickly enough, except for the locals. Locals take what you need, leave what you don't, and stuff like that over the years. I thought that's interesting. I'm saying this because it would make sense that you'd want to kind of trash FEMA without saying it's FEMA because of all this. It's just me kind of spitballing. Maybe you're right, Sharon D. You know, like how do we say that the federal government is fucking dumb without explicitly calling them out? Like Bridget just said. It's like, well, would be tried for treason if like
I mean, that was an exaggeration, but you know,
listen-
you don't want to besmirch the federal government. They're the guys in charge.
Yeah. I
Right?
thought-
You guys do a great job. Don't come
Great
for
job.
me.
I'm channeling
You're
my best
awesome.
Bill. I'm channeling my
Don't-
best Bill.
Government is Nazis.
Exactly. I was gonna say I thought that we.
Government is Nazis.
I thought
That's
that
my
I thought that we
favorite
were in
line.
charge. I thought we were in charge, weren't we? Anyway. Spoken like a true
Hilarious.
libertarian. Right? I know. Listen, we're
So Takira says every time I think of Daryl's spinoff, I just imagine the Walker snarling with a French accent, and I die laughing. Now I need David to do a Walker snarl in a in a French accent.
Ew.
What? How does
Like,
a
it'd be
Walker
like,
snarl
no,
in a
it'd
French
be like,
accent?
Oh.
Okay, that was great.
Yes, that was awesome.
that's the last of our coverage of The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, essentially.
Oh my gosh.
Let me see. David, no, don't do it. No. No. I think I mentioned this before, but I really enjoyed how apocalyptic this episode was, Takira says. And now she's laughing at the...
I think that when we cover that Daryl spinoff, that should be the intro.
It should be Sharondy's version, actually, not
Yeah.
what I just did. Yeah, that was too funny. Okay. Okay, fine. We put that one to bed. I was just trying to make a Bill funny because Fedra being already in existence right from the jump is like, oh, Bill's right. Okay, Bill, it's a pandemic. It's essentially what it is.
I wonder if Bill and oh shit.
It just keeps
Bill
unfurling,
and
doesn't
Joe.
it, Bridget?
Do Bill and Joe know each other since they're both
It
preppers?
just gives me
Oh,
just
in the
gives me
Prepper Network?
throwback. It just gave me throwback
Oh,
to
Joe.
Atlanta, downtown Atlanta, Dave. That's what it reminded me of. All right, anyway, moving on.
I don't think they do, obviously. Yeah. But I like that they have this antagonistic relationship, though. It's like they know they're so alike to one another that they hate each other. Isn't that the same for anybody who like, oh, I'm a distrustful person and I meet another distrustful person and I don't want to get to know you better because that's who we are. I have my man, I have my person, you know, and that's all it's gonna be. It's interesting. Anyway,
I can't believe they made it 20 years and didn't kill each other first.
hence the game.
I think the
Right?
game's probably more closer to
Right,
reality.
exactly. Which, you know, and I had a moment to think
He
of.
stole my battery.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, I had a moment to think about that, and it must have been interesting to see gamers watch that scene, be like, "Oh, this is it. This is the moment. This is where it all goes down." And then in the end, it's just a quarrel, lovers quarrel, right? It's just like typical married person's argument.
I was waiting when he when he comes out and he's like, Frank's like, fuck you, and then and they're arguing. I was like, it's happening. Like, I was like, I did get kind of excited, and then it didn't go that way at all.
Right,
but it was
exactly.
fine. Yeah.
So, because I'm trying to put myself in the gamer mindset, right? It's like, okay, where is it? Oh, this is the moment, right? So there's another thing that's interesting that we have to link back to the first. Oh, Sharon D's moving. That's cool. There's another thing we have to link back to the first episode, and that's where did Joel get the pills from? The hydrocodone. Bill. Not Georgia, the Georgia facility. He got it from Bill.
Oh, I was thinking the other way
No,
around.
I was thinking he
I was
got
thinking
them from
Bill
Bill.
got them from Joel.
Right.
Yeah. Bill got the pills from Joel.
Bill got the pills from Joel.
Do you know why that's not
Yeah.
the case? They had a whole pharmacy to themselves in that town that wasn't picked clean. It would make more sense that they got it, and the crushed
Do
pills.
you think Fedra would have taken all that
Well, he
Right.
when they cleared out the city?
Because Joel was like, we have things that you need that you can't get here, and that's because Fedra cleaned everything out when
well,
he left.
there's the line.
Or the people.
There's a line in the first episode. I need the bag back, and you see the same bag that Bill is dumping into Frank's glass. I think that's what makes
It can't. No, it can't. It can't be. It
Why
can't
not?
be because Joel has the bag in episode 1,
Mhm.
and Frank and Bill are dead before
Oh,
that.
no,
They're
I'm not
already
saying
dead.
I'm not saying it's the same bag, but I just thought it was interesting that it's the same type of bag at least, or something. to
Yeah,
that
it's what
effect.
drug dealers use.
Because
yeah.
Bill got it from Joel. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Hey, Bridget, can you expand?
I mean, I am just saying that that's an assumption.
Some sports bros would buy.
Why don't you read that comment out?
Pi says when the apocalypse strikes, first you visit the pharmacy with a great big bag, then you get some sports bras.
That's all I'm saying, folks. That's all I'm saying.
Love it.
I guess we
love
could see it
It's
one way or the
true.
other, but where would have Joel? See, I'm basing it on the soldiers' comments. Where would Joel have gotten it from? Right? Would
Atlanta.
Would it be the
where
Georgia?
he said he did.
Atlanta, where he gets all the stuff he was smuggling.
It
and
didn't-
all the drugs he was
It
smuggling.
didn't feel like that, because had he gotten it from Atlanta, he probably would have said so. But it didn't
I
seem
don't
like he
think
was.
even.
It didn't seem like he was.
I don't think that even if there was a fully stocked pharmacy in that little town, it would have lasted 20 years.
Why not?
Drugs don't last that long.
Well, I mean,
No,
Because
there's a shelf
pills
life
don't
on
last
drugs.
20 years. Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
that's
Prescriptions.
They're
right.
90% effective for 20 years, just so
Exactly.
you know.
See, Bridget knows all about pharmaceuticals.
I
It
do
depends on what it is.
because I listen to a lot of prepping stuff. Anyway,
Right, that's
It
it.
depends on what it
That's
is.
right.
Yeah.
That's the ticket. I was
that's
thinking
where
this,
I learned that, Dave.
it's the government's full of Nazis. It's a pandemic. I wanted to actually ask you guys, because there may be different reasons for this. Where did Bill get the testing equipment?
Pew pew.
From Joel.
From the not they weren't in a relationship yet. It was 4 years after the
No.
fall.
Oh, this was
Pew,
before. You're right. That was
Pew
before.
pew.
I don't know what you're saying when you. I know what you mean.
He took care of him.
the Fedra
Dave.
people. Okay,
He ran into some Fedra guy and he stole his thing.
use your words.
Or maybe a Fedra like stumbled.
I thought pew pew
walked
covered
through-
it.
Yeah.
Walked through a thing.
That's true. Okay. I just thought we would have seen more of that action if that's the case, right? Because even Frank goes, "Where did you get that from?"
It's entirely possible that a Fedra dude got bitten and turned
Mm-hmm.
and then ran into one of Bill's traps and
More
he got it
elaborate.
off of that guy.
Yeah. Okay.
True.
I was thinking the mass grave, and that would affirm my pandemic comments. Like, oh, they had the testing kits already 3 days later. And they're called Fedra already? Okay, anyway. I'm being stupid. Don't take me
Wow.
You have serious faces right now. I'm totally-
Dave's even becoming a little too crazy for me right now.
Okay.
I jest, you guys. I do love conspiracy theories, but I don't believe in them.
Takira says I never get rid of prescriptions. Neither do I. I'm terrible. I have eye drops from when I had like an eye infection that are still in 3 fridges later that I've moved.
Think of all the fish you're denying the high to.
The what too?
Or fish.
Fish just want.
Yeah, they just want to get high.
Oh, right. Gotcha. Thomas says, how long are tampons good for, buddy? Pivy says 2 weeks. Okay. That's not true. Until the end of time.
Sure, the plastic could have degraded around them, but the cotton is still there.
Right. And they're still in their semi sort of airtight containers-ish sort of situation. I don't know.
Nothing about them is airtight, but it's fine.
That's why I wasn't sure. I don't open tampons on a regular basis, so I don't know. I know that
Absolutely nothing about it is airtight. It's like,
they don't even
and
care.
you stick it in your body, so there's that.
Good luck with that. Right.
Thank God spores aren't a real thing in this scenario, because that would have been spored up.
But mycelials are, so ooh. And there's a string in there. Anyway, let's keep going.
Oh,
Sorry.
oh.
I surprised myself with that one.
You can't edit that out either.
Nope.
Excuse me.
Thomas
said Dave buys vacuum sealed tampons.
Yeah. Only the best from me, wherever that goes.
He preps them.
Oh.
He preps them. He has his vacuum sealer and he buys them and immediately takes them out and vacuum seals them.
For a rainy day. So,
Rain isn't what you need to be looking out for.
right on cue.
It's called Aunt Flo, Dave.
Flow, precipitation,
The Crimson Wave, isn't it?
the Crimson Tide.
I'm riding the Crimson Wave or whatever she said.
I did want to also note that Bill the Prepper is also keto. As you know, eventually he makes toast for Frank, but it's a steaks and veggies kind of guy. So I thought that was interesting because we had talked about the whole keto thing.
Well, can't trust the flour, Dave.
Like,
Right?
I was thinking,
Substrate.
wouldn't all bread be a danger now? Wouldn't all things made with flour be a danger? Where are
Well,
they even getting flour?
Part of the whole reason, and Joel kind of explains it, is the pre-processed plants. It gets smuggled in. If you do the bread yourself, you have more control over the
You know,
process.
So when
I
he
have-
says go make me some toast, he's really just
He's like, kill me now.
put a slab of meat in a toast.
It's 2 thin slices of charred meat with meat in the middle.
Is that like the KFC sandwich that the
double
bread
down.
was 2
Oh,
chicken
that
breast?
chicken
The
thing.
double
Oh
down.
my
Yes. It's called the
gosh.
double down, and it
Heart
is
attack sandwich.
delicious.
I do take a little bit of issue with the idea that everything happened on every infected item came out in the whole world on the same day,
Oh
and
no!
that's how everybody got infected.
You know what?
Because okay,
Okay.
like even like so say you made pancakes that morning. Chances are you had that pancake mix in your house for at least a couple of months. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's not like
Yeah.
you
If you're
went
in
out
my
and bought
house,
it that
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
So like the idea that everybody was infected the same day because all the food hit the shelves on the same day. Okay, like I don't buy that, but I'm letting it slide. Like whatever. I'm not gonna nitpick too much on that. But I was like,
But like cereals and like oatmeal.
You know what I thought of? You know what I thought of though? They make those cookies in the first episode, and they're oatmeal raisin, and that's why Sarah doesn't eat them because she wanted chocolate chip.
Right.
And I was like, I mean, she died anyway, but that probably saved her life.
Yeah.
But
I wrote that in the blog.
Temporarily.
But did the lady go buy the
For a
flour that
second.
day? That cookie flour was probably in her house for a very long time. So why would it have been the infected?
Oh, by the way,
Well, I feel like it's
Peggy
like
says a
fraction
quick
of
hello
people went
on
to the
Instagram.
store.
By the way,
Who?
Hi,
Peggy shot.
Hi, Peggy.
Hi, Peggy.
Hi, Peggy.
Oh, hi, Peggy.
Hi,
Sorry, I
Peggy.
interrupted you, Rachel. I just felt that if I didn't, she wouldn't see it. So sorry.
I mean, there had to be like a decent fraction of the people who did go grocery shopping that day and did use what they bought, and maybe it was only that percentage of people who got infected and then turned and then in turn started
Right, but-
biting people.
Well,
But
don't think about.
how did the substrate that caused it hit Jakarta and England and the United
you
States
guys.
and South America
yeah.
on the same day, because those are very distant places and shipments
gonna
do not
take
reach
time
them at
to
the
travel,
same time.
Well, it's not
and
about
they
the,
don't go
yeah.
on the shelves immediately.
Fair.
well, it's
So,
not.
like,
It's not about the
that
same
was where
day. It probably
Yeah.
it was probably over a short period of time where they were making the grain, and only then, because you're talking about the amount of time it takes to make it, then for that particular person who has that particular mutation to turn, quote unquote, right, and then for that mutation to turn, bite someone else, then mutate further to start infecting others, and then by the time you go down the
But
line,
still, the flour made in Jakarta is still not going to hit American shelves in the 3 days in between
that's
that time.
so it's not even about the day, it's about over a long period of time. But I was thinking though, how you must know, or I don't know, you might not know, because whatever, people have lives and do things. But yeah, if the last 3 years has taught us anything, is that our supply chain is very, very stupid. Especially in the US,
Yeah.
where we've outsourced so much farming across the globe to get our fresh quote unquote fruits that are really dirt cheap. We go to places like Indonesia and what is the place in South America where we get the Honduras, and we go to China for a lot of our fruits and vegetables that are off season. It's crazy how much we rely on that supply chain. So to me, to have that take hold, because we need so much to keep this country going. Because it's not only just about what's in store-bought items. It's about restaurants buying things in bulk from, bread manufacturers who buy flour in bulk. And to have all those prepared foods go out on the same day for people who are on the go, even, that's where you have to be worried more. Not the stuff on the store shelves as much as stuff that's bought in bulk. So that, to me, it's really, really plausible given how fucked our supply chain is in the US, at least. So it totally passes the smell test, especially what we're still going through right now as a result of this, our own pandemic, let's say. It's not a critique. It's just a fact of
eggs. Am I right?
Right. Exactly.
I mean, I'm just saying they specifically say that it starts on Friday and by Monday everything's gone. So that's a really short period of time.
Right.
Well,
Well,
I'm just saying. I don't care. I really don't care about the logistics because I love the show and I don't give a shit.
wait,
I'm
no,
just
no, no. I
saying
understand. I understand.
That was not really possible.
But think of it even this
Likely.
way. It slowly taking to the point where it takes only days for somebody to get infected. And then now we're here 20 years later and a bite takes hours, depending on where on the body you are bitten. So it has mutated. Maybe people, it's kind of like The Walking Dead. Maybe people were walking around it in their gut for a really, really long time. And only then did somebody get sick enough to want to bite someone. Oh, what, Bridget? What?
Brian.
Oh, okay.
I was just
looking at-
mouthing, hey,
I was looking at you
Brian."
waving, and I'm like, oh, what? What am I supposed to look at? Okay. Anyway. But anyway, Thomas says, wouldn't growing strawberries in dirt be a risk? He says with many question marks. Takira says, I think I want to try that steak toast. Laughing my ass off. Pivy says, I have some spice jars that are old enough to vote. You know what? I'm with you. I've never had food from Jakarta. I want to now. I like your style.
Not a real selling point for me, but okay.
Right. Pivy says, my strawberry lemonade was made was made a 15 bike ride minute away. It's really nice though. 100% spore free. She says, I know, Tom. Let's plant you and see what happens. Strawberry, right?
Words,
Thomas.
am I right?
Takir says, face blue smiling. Brian Castor says, hello guys, on break and wanted to chime in. Hey, Brian. Yay. Brian, hey.
Hi, Brian.
Oh, thank you for showing up, buddy. Okay, so I'm feeling like we have gone well past. We're an hour and a half in. Does anybody else have anything else to say?
Killer soundtrack this episode.
Yeah,
Top notch.
Fleetwood Mac, right? Cream.
Linda Ronstadt,
Cream.
man.
Well, I was building up to that. Okay, Fleetwood Mac, Cream was in this one too.
Cream.
White Room, and then of course Linda Ronstadt. Oh, there is something I wanted to say about that, but did you guys? Yeah, do you want to riff on that though for a little while? I was gonna get the lyrics for some of these songs, but I know that we wouldn't have time to really examine it so much.
No, the only
Yeah,
other
I
thing
went
that
in-
I noticed, and we talked about it already, is that Bill and Frank would have been dead for a couple weeks just based on what Joel had said. With
That's
the
legit.
countdown every couple weeks, and then the song played like roughly at the time that they left. So
Do we have a span of time from when they left till they reached Bill and Frank's house? I wasn't quite
don't
sure,
think
but it was enough
so.
to have a thin film of dust, I think. So maybe a
Yeah.
couple weeks is legit.
yeah.
Well, the date on the letter was August 30th, 2023.
There you go.
So, they're like 20 years later. So it's been maybe a month, couple of weeks to a month.
Could have been a month. Yeah. I mean, if the show's doing that poetic justice thing where it's September 26th, 2003
that's-
was what Joel says in the show. Yeah, it could have been a month. That would be interesting.
By the way,
Okay.
when she's reading the letter and she reads the part where he's like, blowing up all the guys with my traps.
yeah, crack me up.
Ah, so good.
Love
So,
it. Love it.
I did want, on the note of the songs though, I did want to kind of go into just the Linda Ronstadt song. Like just thinking about it and having that argument about taking poetic liberties and poetic justice on certain things. I felt like the song was almost a response to the game and the way it goes down in the game. how Bill never really got in the game, really got that love, let's say. And this was him getting that love. There was like, it was almost like a communication between the show and the game. I'll read what I wrote exactly. This episode responds to the game and how Bill never got to have this story, this growing old and dying together in somebody's arms story. This version of Frank comes along to change that. And I thought that was an interesting way of a song communicating that to the game in a way.
Did you by chance find out what year that song came out? Because I know the songs and the decades that they came out was part of their signal,
Their code, yeah.
their code. Yeah.
Oh, that's a...
And I just wonder what year that particular song came out.
Being Linda Ronstadt, I would say the 70s, late 70s or early 80s. Yeah.
And what was, and so we know the 80s was
1970.
Trouble.
70.
Okay.
On
And
the
we know the
nose.
80s was Trouble, right?
Oh, yeah.
70s was
and
New
70s
Stock.
was
New
New
Stock.
Stock, and 60s was
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Nothing going on.
like All Clear.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Because Cream, The White Room by Cream came out in 68. That was a 60s decade song.
And Fleetwood was
And
70s,
it was
right?
playing, and it was playing, if I remember right, before he met Frank.
I
Cream?
think that was what was playing when he was. Wasn't no wait a minute. You talking about the Cream or the Fleetwood Mac?
Cream.
Oh, okay. The Fleetwood Mac was playing when he was getting all the stuff, right? When he was going around through the neighborhood getting stuff.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually wrote it down when the
Maybe
Cream
I'm
was
getting
playing.
them mixed up.
But I'm writing my
'Cause
notes
he
now.
was- I thought he was still like
So Cream was 4 years later.
putting stuff together.
Cream was the 4 years later when he's going to the Home
Right
Depot.
before he meets.
Yeah, right before he meets Frank. Yeah.
Frank. Okay.
He
Alright,
goes through the gate
that
for the
makes
first time.
Yes. I
The
remember him
electric
going
gate.
through the gate, and I'm like, oh, this song.
I like where you're thinking,
what
though.
is this song?
I like where you're thinking, though, Rach. That's pretty interesting.
When I looked up the year that the song was released, there's some articles down below it, and it says all of them are saying essentially Linda Ronstadt streams soar after this episode aired,
Just like
and
in,
it's
Of course.
and they're saying it's reminiscent of the Kate Bush revival.
That's
that
exactly
happened
what I was
because
gonna
of
say.
Stranger Things. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've already
from
seen
Stranger
it on.
Things.
I've already seen it uploaded on YouTube like 3 times with scenes from the show on it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Sweet.
Now they're
it's
gonna
ama-
remix it and put it back on the radio. Ugh.
I don't know. I
At least
kind
I
of
like this song.
I
I
liked-
did not like Running Up That Hill.
I like
Oh, I
the
love Kate. I love the
I
Kate
like
Bush
the
song.
original.
I no
I like
I
the original.
I
I didn't
like-
like what they turned it into.
I like the update actually.
No, I like the
update
you
original.
do?
much better.
I
yeah.
like the original so
I like
much better.
it's refined. It's I'm an audiophile. Like the bass and drum
Yeah.
is a little bit more refined. I dig it. I dig it. But like Ellie, I like the original here too. I hope they remix this one.
I was a bigger fan of the Cream song in this episode than I was the Linda Ronstadt.
I'm actually looking the
Props
Fleetwood.
to Linda. About
ahead.
time Linda Ronstadt gets some recognition.
No, I agree. And what's interesting about that is that she was asked in her old age whether she stayed unmarried and unhitched because most people suspected she was a lesbian, and it turns out she wasn't. So I thought that had a little bit of interplay. I looked very briefly at her history about that, and having that being chosen as the song and maybe the theme song of many people who were questioning or trying to figure out who they were. I thought that's very interesting. And to link that song to Bill was on point. Like a person who never thought this, especially when the world ended, never thought this could be something for him. So I thought that's pretty cool. Again, this is one of the things that got me the most is that first kiss too. So what was the Fleetwood Mac song though? I want to look that up as well. I wish I could do Control F on this. It was right at the Home Depot, right? That's when the Fleetwood Mac song comes on. Oh, I'm coming home. Okay.
It's when he's going around taking getting the boat and the gas and all that stuff.
It
Which
is
is also a scene that
I'm coming
also
home
a
to
scene
stay.
I loved. I
19,
love that scene too.
1968. I got it. Released 1968. So nothing. That's interesting until Frank comes along. Essentially. Okay, cool. Let's read some of the comments. Oh, okay. Only have 15 minutes, but I want to listen to you. Oh, thanks, Thomas. I'm waiting, Brian. You didn't chime. And then he chimes later on. Still waiting. Thomas, figure out the discussion before I chime. Correct response would be chime. Okay, Takira says, sidebar, it was minus 10 degrees when I woke up today in Minnesota. I wanted to leave Earth and get closer to the sun. Pivy says, Takira, in Fahrenheit? Because she's from Finland. Pivy's from Finland. So there's a competition of the coldest place on Earth, and you two are competing because damn, it gets cold in Minnesota. Okay, one observation that I thought was happening in the game. Oh, hi! You could say something because you're on
No.
like.
Just saw you.
Hello, Chris.
I'm going to New Orleans this weekend with my sisters.
The microphone's right here. You don't have to scream.
But she can't hear you, so she feels like she has to hear us.
I can't hear him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who's on first?
What's he saying?
Who's on first?
What's on
He said the
second?
same thing you did that you can't.
No,
hear
what's
him.
covering third base? Anyway, so
I gotta go to bed. Good night.
Okay.
Good night.
I just knocked my mic down almost. One observation when Joel was across the table from Bill, I had thought that the whole time my Walking Dead brain thought, oh, Frank's like, Bill, put that gun away. And Bill wants to make it very clear he has the gun on Joel. But the whole time Joel has that one arm that's underneath the table. And I was wondering if he had a gun pointed at Bill the whole time. And did you guys feel that at all?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Because I thought it
That
was
makes
crazy.
sense.
Yeah,
No.
it was-
I was a
I
little
didn't think that.
No,
But that does
maybe
make sense.
maybe not pointed at him, but he had his hand on it.
Like
is
right
what
underneath
I
it.
felt like. Yeah, like his hand was like on his holster. That's what
But like
thought.
I was almost upset that we didn't see that reveal. Like, oh, I had one too, and then put it on the table and be like, haha, "You're such a jokester, Joel."
We can help each other out and get that gun out of my face.
I love that.
The writing on the show is just fucking stellar.
Yeah,
I mean, it is just stellar.
I like. Okay, Pivy says half the stream is Dave looking for something. It's 100% true. I'm looking at different versions of us. Brian says you guys probably covered this, but did anyone get Carl Grimes vibes when Ellie was in the Cumberland Farms? I can dig that.
No, Brian, because I was
Oh.
getting John and June vibes because they were in the store. So,
Oh, okay.
sorry, overall.
It's fair. It's
Sharon,
like it's like a pudding episode.
Exactly. Stay in the house. Stay in the house, Ellie. Yell if you see something.
Stay in the
Only
house,
instead
Ellie.
of pudding, she gets tampons. It's a little
Yeah.
less
Ba,
exciting.
ba, ba, ba. I hope it doesn't
Damn,
bite.
damn. The women get the short end of the fucking stick again.
Of the
Carl gets pudding, Ellie gets fucking tampons. How is that fair?
I don't know. You get what you need. Another thing was she grabs the. She grabs
Excuse
the,
me, she doesn't need pudding.
I need pudding.
I need fucking pudding.
all right,
Yeah.
I'll concede that point. Sharon actually says she's from Australia, by the way. Sharon from Australia says hi on Facebook.
Hi, Sharon from Australia.
She's been listening to us
Sharon,
for the longest
hi.
time, by the way. That's another song you can.
Isn't it like
For the longest
9 in the morning in Australia?
That's all right. Well, depending on where she is, it could be 10 or it was almost 10 actually, depending on where she is. Takir says,
Either
"Oh my
way, it's tomorrow.
yeah." Either way, it's in the
Australia.
future. Takir says, "Oh my god."
in the future right now.
What happens?
Tell me my future. What is tomorrow like?
Takir says, "Oh my God, F. Sorry, I completely forgot to be specific." Pive says, "New Orleans." You got to be okay. So yeah, she's commenting about Chris. Thomas says, "I've got beads to your mom." Pivy, Thomas always gets the most beads every spring. Kiss, kiss.
He
kiss.
said it to both of you, Rachel, just so you know it wasn't just to your mom.
That was just to your mom,
Yeah, I already told him I'm keeping my shirt on.
or else you lose it. Brian.
I'll pack extra.
Oh, Brian says it felt like Han Solo and Greedo when they were at the tape. That's what I was saying. Like
Oh,
Han-
yeah.
Han shot first.
Yeah.
Anyway, when he said get that gun out of my face, I lost it. I didn't know how they kept a straight face doing that scene.
The makeup job they did on Anna Torv, either
In the
before, either in the before or the after. Like I don't know like if they aged her up earlier, or if they like younged her down for this episode, but man, they did a really great job with it.
yeah, I think if you see photos of Anna Torv, they might have aged her up in the prior episodes. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Takira called me out on For the Longest Time because of the song.
I love that song.
Thomas says, you get a tampon, you get a tampon, you get a tampon. Everyone gets tampons.
You didn't
'Cause-
say it right.
Yeah, do it better.
Is there a right way? Okay. Don't
Yes,
do
There's
it.
one way to say it.
Like Oprah. I know. I get the reference. And Pipe says, get your
Well, you
tampons
didn't
out of
do
my
it
pudding. Anyway. For me being in Massachusetts, Brian's from Massachusetts, seeing Cumberland Farms brought back memories. Well, elaborate when you can. I think they previously aged her up. Yep. Okay, cool. Let's keep going with this episode. I don't know if there's that much left, but Anybody have anything else they want to say in particular?
Nope. I commented on the music. It was fantastic this episode.
So is Frank's gaydar. I
Yeah,
thought-
he kind of took a chance there, right?
Yeah, like he
He
was
coulda-
reading the room a little bit, like without reading the room. Because nothing about
To be
Bill
fair, he was really good at reading people. Like
Frank.
he
you
was
said.
able to read Bill from the beginning
Yeah,
and
I,
like everything.
I was really
Which
impressed.
Bill is a very stoic person, so
and very
and
unassuming.
apparently Tess over the radio.
Good point.
I liked we got to see a little bit of their friendship. It was really sweet. They were both very excited. It was cute to see like hope for the future, right? Like they were just so hopeful. I don't know.
He's
It
like,
was sweet.
we're gonna have friends, and I'm gonna invite them over, and we're gonna have tea.
I liked it. It was cute.
It was
cute.
adorable. I loved it.
It's so. But isn't that so like a marriage though too? Because
Yes.
in the beginning, you think you
And
have.
Bill's like,
No, I'm more specifically talking about. He says Frank says something very specific, and I really loved it. He says, "Paying attention to things is how we show love." And isn't it like so crazy? They're already 4 years together in 2007 when they have this argument, right? And 4 years in, you kind of start creaking into your relationship. You start having those dumb arguments because you're really starting to let each other have it, like in terms of knowing who you are. But you still think you have so much time. And then later on, when we get 10 years later and the Raiders come, you start to feel that there's not enough time. And I'm kind of getting to the 10-year point in my marriage. And after watching The Sandman on Netflix, watching The Walking Dead always, I am starting to feel like my mortality. I'm starting to feel like something that Bill says later on is like, I wasn't afraid until I met you. Now I have somebody that I want to be taken care of when I go. And I feel that.
something to lose now.
Stop it, Dave. We're not gonna do
That's-
this.
We're not going to do
again.
that.
Well,
What
I
you
was-
said really
I
got in
was
my
a-
head.
I was about to say something about Game of Thrones, but we haven't gotten to that point yet with Bridget, so never mind. I'm just gonna drop it. But it is relevant.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's all you're going to say. That's all right.
It is relevant.
Gotcha. Can't do it until later.
We
That's
got
fine.
we got to hurry up and finish watching Game of Thrones.
Oh, last thing I think I might have is I don't think Bill has ever laughed like that in his entire life as much as right after he ate those strawberries with Frank. That little kind of laugh. The second time around, I really appreciated it a lot more because, like,
His little Ron Swanson giggle.
Yeah,
I loved
exactly.
the little like.
It
I was like,
Ron
not on the
Swanson-
strawberries.
It was Ron
Uh-huh.
Swanson laughing at little Sebastian.
Yeah, it was. It was.
It
yeah.
was.
but I really felt that. Like in this whole episode, he goes from like really, really tense, bow-legged cowboy in an animation to like trying to keep up running with Frank, and then all of a sudden having the strawberry and seeing him laugh for the first time was just it was everything that I needed from this episode that I didn't know I needed. And just to see the passage of time and being able to see a life where you make certain choices. Oh, Carla Jordan's on Instagram. Hi, beautiful story. She says, hi guys, I'm a little late, but I'm so excited to go to camp. Well, we're happy to see you eventually. Yeah, I have to get on that eventually. I have a big role there with you guys. there. Possibly, we haven't talked about that yet, but yeah, seeing that life lived, and then seeing Bill make the choices and relenting to go against his nature, to do something uncharted that he's never done before, and taking a chance opens up that door of possibilities. And then that is like, I mean, this is what I said in the argument about the video game not accurate. Sorry, the show not carbon copying the video game, is that you need these things so that, first of all, the audience buys when Joel comes around, but you need to buy that Joel needs to buy that something like this is possible for him. You still do get the imagery of, first of all, his watch. Yes, it's broken because it was shot at. There's 2 holes, right? Ellie's playing with the grandfather clock, and the time, the handle, I think it was the minute handle, falls off. So like, it's about time resuming. It's about letting your life resume from whence it stopped, like a real life.
Going back to strawberries.
Did you want to make the comments? Yeah, sure.
According to the Urban Dictionary, a strawberry is someone who sells their body for drugs, but in this case, the drugs would be food.
Oh,
So,
Thomas.
I said strawberry.
Sorry,
It's Urban
Thomas.
Dictionary, not me, Thomas. But you know,
How accurate is that, Thomas?
For those who are lost, Thomas was referred to once by, was it Garrett Dillahunt as a
Garrett.
strawberry?
It was Garrett.
I think it was like
There's a whole story, but
Yeah.
the nickname Strawberry came from
from
it.
that, from a
Yes.
conversation with Garrett,
Yes.
or behind his back to someone else. Oh, is he the strawberry or something to that effect? and then he became Strawberry from then on.
Yes. So now Thomas is Strawberry.
Brian has to bounce.
That was a while ago. We already said goodbye to him.
Oh, Brian will
We
have
did.
right. Brian will have his YouTube. Well, we have to tell the rest of the people watching on replay.
Oh, yeah.
Brian has his replay, his own recap of the episodes. Thomas just texted me, "Where do you think I get all my drugs?" Thomas also says on the chat, "Do the laugh again, Dave." Like, okay, Takira. It's great, isn't it great? Takira says, "I haven't watched any of these episodes twice yet. I think of waiting for a binge at the." I have to actually admit something in response to that. Takira says, "Yes, do the laugh again, Dave. Do a French accent in the alpha voice." No, thank you. Thomas says, "Be sure to buy the tampon package at the camp." Wah, bah, bah, bah. Takira says, "Was I the only one wondering how they got the cars stacked up?" You know, that's a good point, but I'm sure they had earth mover equipment. You know, maybe.
Bill went to the local construction yard and picked up a fucking one of the, I don't know what they're called. I'm sorry, but like instead
an
of
earth mover?
instead of a bucket on the front, it has like
The pallet
spikes.
thing.
Yeah, like a
It, like,
pallet mover.
Picks up pallet.
It went
Yeah.
and got a big ass pallet mover and
That's all you need, right? A pallet mover. Okay,
Sure.
so
yeah.
A
Sounds good.
forklift?
yeah,
No,
yeah, a
it's not
forklift
big
is,
enough to pick up a car.
but like an
It's like
industrial
a-
version
a-
of it,
It's like in a big industrial,
Yeah.
a big industrial version.
which I think they have certain attachments on garbage trucks that
But
allow you to do that.
there are like for tractors there are certain implements you can get like that.
Attachments,
different-
right?
Yeah, different
Yeah.
attachments.
Like a vacuum attachment, but
Yeah.
for tractors.
Well, that's what I was saying before. Like
yeah,
how
Swiss Army tractor. That's
how,
what
like-
it's called.
Yeah.
well garbage
Totally.
trucks in New York City are outfitted with plows and salting equipment too. So it's the same general idea too. Thomas says forklift or backhoe.
What'd you call me?
Backhoe.
Exactly.
Isn't-
Take your pick.
Never mind.
Forklift or backhoe. Just say it real fast. You'll get it. Forklift her backhoe. There you go. Backhoe is another name for strawberry. He wishes.
Wow.
It's another package at the camp. Anyway,
the backhoe package.
exactly. Thank you. Man, things are getting a little spicy at the camp. I did want to drop this one thing. I'm so sorry about marriage equality. We had talked about it in the reaction video, and I got some of the facts down. Because the apocalypse happens in 2003, we don't get some of the landmark cases that make marriage equality possible, because at the end, near the end of their lives, the last day, Frank wants to get married. And I had mentioned that there are some things like cures that weren't available at the time. And one of those things was marriage equality. Supreme Court advanced marriage equality through key decisions in the 2013 Hollingsworth v. Perry, which opposed 2008's Prop 8 in California, which had no legal standing. Then, June 26, 2015, Supreme Court decision Obergefell v. Hodges in a landmark 5-4 decision ratified gay marriage across the nation. So there you go. See what a difference 20 years made. 20 years makes a huge, huge difference in certain things in our lives. And I thought they were denied that, we had asked the question, why didn't they get married sooner? And it's like, old habits die hard. You don't really think about that that's a possibility. Just like Bill with love, you don't think that's a possibility for you for so long. It just doesn't occur to you when you're living your life with that one person, right?
And not only that, but you're living your life together. The marriage aspect isn't that important. But
Exactly.
At the end, they both wanted it.
Right.
So they made it happen.
Yeah, and it just makes sense. Just like my own marriage. It just was like, oh, I guess that makes sense. Let's just do it. Sure. Shouldn't all decisions be that easy, right? Like a membrane you pass through. Oh, yeah. Oh, suddenly we're married. Great. That makes sense. Oh, what's for dinner? should all be like that. Thomas says there will never be a strawberry package at the camp. I don't know, maybe. Certain things change. Takir says camp is going to be so much fun. Laughed my ass off. All of this in person is going to be next level. Thomas says won't be that much fun without me. It's true, actually.
Just for that, Thomas, like we're going to make a strawberry package. Like I'm going to get a basket and put some strawberries in it, and we're going to carry that shit around camp with your fucking face in it or something.
We could do
with
for
Carranza.
Thomas
what we did with Carranza.
Exactly.
What we did with Carranza.
We just have
Okay,
Thomas just.
but
showed
you
up
have
in
to
all
put his
pictures.
face on a strawberry shortcake doll,
oh, and then he'll be with us everywhere, and we'll take photos with
and it'll
Thomas.
smell like strawberries.
like strawberry shortcake, the doll. Oh, I love that.
Like people, like kids carry eggs around in high school to show them what it's like to take care of a baby. We can all just carry a little strawberry around with us.
Oh, now I want to take an egg that has Thomas's face
and
on
not
it
eat
everywhere.
it. I couldn't do that.
In this economy,
Strawberry package we can give.
You want us to bring? You want me to bring a $35 egg?
Yes.
Don't worry
That's
about
how much
eggs,
she-
kids. Just bring a real kid to class and watch it.
It's cheaper. That'd be cheaper.
Yeah.
Everybody just bring a kid
Oh.
to class.
So on the note of what Tikira said earlier about how she doesn't think she's going to rewatch the show until the end when she can binge it, I have to actually make an admission that I admitted on Twitter recently, and that's I have not watched The Walking Dead's last episode's Talking Dead. I have not watched it once, actually.
We tried to.
Oh,
but
I tried
it was
to.
A bit distracting.
Yeah, I haven't watched it actually either.
I haven't brought myself to it. It's you guys too? That's amazing.
Uh-huh.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
I do, but I can't bring myself to do it.
Cry.
I'm not okay. I'm not okay.
Yeah,
we're not talking about
wanna
it.
cry.
It's coming back. Don't worry about it.
So why don't we? I think we should figure out a time where
Why don't we nothing?
No. I want to.
Yeah, shut it.
I want to do it with you guys. Okay, that sounded weird. I want to watch it with you guys. That's what I want to do.
Maybe at camp. I'm not talking about it now though.
Okay. I just figured people should know, and I thought I was gonna be the crazy one, and it turns out you guys,
anyway. So
you guys
might
are
as well.
just as crazy as
I
me.
don't want to cry.
So Takira's like,
I'm avoiding it because I don't want to cry.
none of you watched me. Like, no, watch
Right?
Talking
No,
Dead.
I saw you. I went back and watched the clip to hear it.
What? Oh, I saw the screenshot of you, but I didn't see
Bridget
the actual
didn't-
episode.
Didn't we decide that you and I were not in it ultimately?
We were not.
We were not.
Brian was. Brian was.
Brian, okay. We did all the things. And then they didn't end up using us.
Brian was in it. Takira was in it, and
Jamie Joe. Was
Destiny.
Joe in it?
Jamie. Was Jamie in there? No, Jamie was in the Generation Dead with me.
Oh, Jamie Lee was in there. Yeah,
Jamie Joe.
Jamie Joe, right? Jamie Hogan.
Jamie Joe.
Destiny was in there too. She was on it as well.
Eric just posted a link. I don't know what that is. Tell us what that is, though. Is that a backhoe? It's probably a backhoe or a forklift. Anyway,
It's a classic strawberry shortcake doll
oh,
for
Thanks.
$25.
Well, let's go back to the subject point. I think we
I don't
should.
pay full price for anything. I'll find it. I'll find it for
I'm
you.
sure Goodwill would have one. I will find one at Goodwill.
I literally, while we were talking, I was thinking, isn't it really scary that they still smell the way they do? It's a little frightening.
do.
After 20,
They
30,
do.
30 years.
the
That's not
dolls.
normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They still smell
Oh,
like
yeah.
strawberry. Oh, God. Like, it makes you think what's in there. What toxic chemical that they're going to find out 30 years later was in there that
That
stunted
you're
your
breathing
growth.
in.
Oh, it's
That I'm taking.
Well,
It's
I
the
mean,
spores.
that was 45 years ago, so damage done already. Like,
and that's
get
what made
worse
it
at this
possible for
point?
us to do a podcast. It's just we found each other through the Strawberry Shortcake Network. And we found each
so
other.
we're like the mycelial cells, and we're all connected to strawberry shortcake. through
The
strawberry
the
shortcake.
fumes from Strawberry Shortcake.
Right.
Exactly.
It's like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever, but it's 1 degree.
It's 1 degree of Strawberry Shortcake's fumes. Yeah. So, with that, everybody, thank you for coming to the second live stream we had this week on the subject of the Walking Dead, The Last of Us, episode 3, titled "Long Time."
Arguably the better one because I'm here.
Yeah, obviously. And if you like what you've heard, head over to rate.
So rude.
No, it's perfectly accurate.
Well, it's all right. Y'all have to like
I
do
bore
it
my
without me. when I work.
soul.
Yeah, and then I get the leftovers. I get the leftover afterthoughts.
No, you're clutch. Anyway, if you like what you heard, head over to ratethispodcast.com/walkingdead. 5 stars and eggplant is all we need to know that you love. Or strawberry, fine. But let us know what you liked. Let us know what you didn't like. But tell us after every episode. And if you really like what you've heard, you can just follow us on either ko-fi.com/squawkingdead or patreon.com/squawkingdead. You don't have to buy us a coffee to show that love. You don't have to join a membership tier for as little as $1 a month. If you follow, you will get our recording schedule when we go back to pre-recorded episodes for free. And you can attend for free. So do that. But if you do want to support this podcast by tipping us, you'll get 30 days of supported back content via Ko-fi.com. Or if you join a membership tier for as little as $1 on both Patreon and Ko-fi, I just lowered the Walkers tier on Patreon to $1 because it doesn't really make a difference to do that, to make it a certain price, because it's not about the money for us. It's about showing us that you want to be more involved in what we do. And when you do, you can have access to things like our Discord server, which means more conversations with us, telling us when you would like to record. Actually, we put that information in one of our channels, so you can join us. We can discuss convention appearances. We can discuss so many things that we don't discuss publicly, either on social media or on these episodes. We're just talking development. We're just talking about things we're thinking about doing that you can have your input on. For as little as $1 a month, you can join us on this journey. What's Discord? Thomas, you're doing it right now. Discord. I'm just kidding. So thank you for joining us. I've been your host, David Cameo, and you were joined by the lovely and inimitable Cosmom09, Rachel Burt, Sharon D, a.k.a. Blazy Gardner, and Bridget, ko-fi.com/Punky Brewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
And like, do pay us money sometimes because I got to keep in my strawberry shortcake habit, you know?
It's getting rough out here, folks.
It is.
It's getting
I don't want to
crazy.
be a strawberry. You know what I mean?
Just huffing the shortcake.
Well, without it.
And take us out.
Good night, everybody. See you here. Bye-bye.
Oh my